At the start of an outbreak like this, when you don't know very much about the biology or the impact that a virus has on the body, numbers become a key weapon in working out how it might grow. And that's because infectious diseases, they spread through a population in a very mathematical way. And that means that even when you've got very little data for a new outbreak, you can track where we are along that trajectory, and you can scroll forwards to see how things might unfold. So let me show you a graph of how the world's COVID-19 deaths have evolved over time. And I'm going to compare that to some previous outbreaks, SARS, MERS and Ebola. Now, if I just play you the very first 20 days or so, you will see that initially coronavirus outbreak looks fairly similar to the others, but this is where it starts to split. Now, for the experts who read these numbers all of the time, it really starts to become clear just how difficult this coronavirus is going to be to contain. If I carry on here, you'll see just how quickly things start changing. If I pause it at around the 50-day mark, this is around when I first saw this comparison of the data. So at this stage, there had been less than 10 deaths in Italy. There had been no deaths at all in Britain. But for me personally, this is really when I realised that we were really in trouble. Because it's not just that these lines have diverged, it's not just that there are more COVID-19 deaths than SARS, MERS and Ebola, it's what happens next. Because these deaths are increasing exponentially. And I know that that's a term that you will have heard a lot recently, but at its very simplest, an exponential curve doesn't just increase steadily, it accelerates, curving upwards and upwards. And tragically, what that means here is that the number of deaths are doubling every few days. Because if this line had carried on the trajectory it was at around the 50-day mark, actually, the number of corona deaths would be more like down here. Now, as soon as you see this data, as soon as you see the virus getting to this scale, this quickly, it's clear that it will be almost impossible to contain the outbreak. You can't just shut down COVID-19 in the same way as these others here, because the numbers are telling us it is too late to stop it from spreading.
The first indication that this wouldn't be contained within China came in mid-January, as a case beyond its borders was confirmed.
Thailand has reported the first case of the Wuhan coronavirus found outside of China. The patient arrived at Bangkok Suvarnabhumi airport from Wuhan.
As hundreds of thousands leave Wuhan to celebrate the Chinese New Year, there are rising fears that the virus will be disseminated across the country. January the 23rd, 2 days before Chinese New Year. Wuhan goes into lockdown to prevent further spread.
The gates of the city clanging shut. Wuhan, home to more than twice the population of Scotland, 11 million people, now sealed off from the outside world.
Most public transport stops and all shops are shut, except those selling food or medicine. Within hours, the bustling city of Wuhan becomes a ghost town. But the number of cases continues to rise. On the 7th of February, Dr. Li Wenliang, who was one of the first to sound the alarm, becomes China's latest victim.